Well, hello there, my little yarn goblins and fiber trolls, and welcome back to another episode of Flannel and Pod. My name is Christopher. I am Flannel and Pearls, your local neighborhood knitting friend, and please come in. Come in and take a seat. Have a seat here at the table with me if you would, because it has been a minute since we have had a legitimate episode of Flannel and Pod.
Well, we're waiting.
It's been a while because we had at the table a couple of weeks ago, and then a couple weeks before that, we had an episode of Flannel and Pod, but that one was the interview with Tazhi over at Stitches and Starlight, which, if you have not had the chance to watch that, here's a link for it. I think YouTube puts it in this corner over here. If not, it's over here. I have no idea. I can never remember, but I think it's over here. I think it's over here. If you've not had the chance, I can't encourage you more to go and watch it. Not just because I really loved making the video, and it might be one of my favorites that I've made in the whole run of this so far, but Tazhi just has a presence that makes me feel incredibly at ease and very comfortable. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Disarming. I feel disarmed in the best possible way. There's just an immediate comfort, an immediate ease, and I just feel very safe and welcome in their presence. And so if you haven't had the chance to watch it, go pop over. There's a link below. There'll be a link below for you to just click through and watch that. But it's been a while since we've actually sat here and just talked about projects and talked about things that are going on. And it's very nice to be back.
Guess who's back?
It's very nice to be back in this format. How are you? Are you doing well? I really hope that you are. It's been so long since I've even had the opportunity to check in with so many of you. I hope that you're doing okay because the year is almost half over. Can we take a moment just to mourn that reality? The year is almost half over. Hey, or maybe, honestly, maybe some of you are celebrating this. Maybe 2024 is absolutely just tearing you across the coals right now. And so maybe 2024 being half over is a celebratory moment. So you know what? Let's also take a moment to celebrate the fact that 2024 is half over.
Please clap.
And summer is practically upon us, which I can't wait to lay outside in my hammock and just enjoy myself and just allow the sun to beat down on top of me while Howl wanders around. Because if there is anyone who enjoys summer more than our little black porch panther Howl, I don't know who it is. I really don't. That cat loves nothing more than just laying in the sun on the back deck, baking in the radiant heat. And I'm jealous of that. I want to be a house cat with no bills or responsibilities, and the only thing that I have to do is just lay in the sun and maybe periodically get in a fight, which I have a Howl story. I have Howl drama because let me tell you, things have been going on these days. So for those of you who are new, for those of you who may need a refresher, Howl is our little stray that showed up in our yard just about a year ago. At the end of July, it'll be a year. July 28th was the day that she showed up. But this cat has just welcomed herself into the fabric of my life, the fabric of our home. And the thing about Howl is that she's wildly independent and kind of demands that she exists on her own terms, which I'm completely at peace with. At the end of the day, she had a life that existed well before me. She decided to show up in our garden, announce herself, and has decided that this is a pretty cool, calm, and collected place to call home. I love that, but with that means that we kind of have to respect the fact that she's an indoor-outdoor cat. She spends maybe 60% of her day outside, wandering around, laying in the sun, doing who knows what, because she's not always on the deck, she's not always within eyesight. I have no idea where she goes or what she does. Would love to know, but I digress. And then she comes in at night, she has her dinner, she sleeps here, and in the morning we let her out again. Well, the thing about that is, again, because we don't know what she does all day, sometimes stuff happens. And somewhere about a week ago, well, by the time this posts 2 weeks ago, she got into a fight. She got into a fight with some cat in the neighborhood, which could be any number of cats because there is something about this house. I don't know what it is, but this particular plot attracts the neighborhood cats. In the year that we have lived here, I think we've counted and named 12 of them, including Howl. There's so many neighborhood cats that just wander through this property. And in Howl's defense, she does a very good job of keeping this area hers. She has marked her territory, quite literally, and has made sure that everyone knows this is her place, this is her home. They are welcome to pass through, but only as visitors. But something happened. At some point, she got into some type of tussle with one of the neighborhood cats. I personally believe that it's Janice. This is Janice. She's the one with the crazy eyes. I mean, look at those. Look at those eyes. Those are wild eyes. She has been up for anywhere from 8 to 12 business days, and she has had at least 2 packs of cigarettes and a pot of coffee every single day. She is a little wild, and frankly, every time I interact with her, she gives off this very strange sort of aggressive energy. Whereas the other ones, I think in At the Table, last time I talked about Moose, who was this adorable little black and white little cow kitty, who unfortunately we haven't seen around lately. He was limping really bad the last time I saw him, and I'm hoping that someone caught him and has put him in a rescue so that he can heal, which seems very likely because we have a very good rescue system in this particular town. And so I am choosing to believe that that is what has happened to Moose. And I'm hoping that someday when they release him back out after they've neutered him and healed him, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that he'll make his way back to our house because I miss him. But Janice, on the other hand, Janice is a menace.
Let's not keep moving because there is an insane cat down here.
Every time I interact with them, they have this very strange, high-strung, sort of semi-feral energy. And if I had to guess which of the neighborhood cats Howl got into a tussle with, I'd say it was Janice. And for those of you who don't get... So the reason that this cat is called Janice is I'm hoping you all understand the reference of when I see Janice, it's on site. I have no idea if all of you are as chronically online as I was when that meme hit Twitter and has never left, but it turns out, in fact, it was on site because Howl showed up with this scratch underneath her eye. And this maybe about a half an inch or so, which for a cat is quite long when they're, not that big to begin with. She shows up with this scratch under her eye, acting very strange, not talking a whole lot, not eating a whole lot, and a couple days later, it started to swell up and it got infected. And I was like, no, we need to get this animal to the vet. And the challenge of that is that we have never taken Howl to a vet. We have never attempted to take Howl to a vet. We have never attempted to capture Howl in any capacity. And frankly, I am not equipped to do that. Neither is Mark, my partner. Neither of us are equipped to deal with a cat that wants to evade capture. We have both had cats. It has been many years since either of us have had cats, and the cats that we had were incredibly domicile. They were very gentle cats. They were kind of the type that you could probably like just push over and they would just accept their fate. Howl is not the type to accept their fate. Quite the opposite. And so we ended up getting one of those raccoon traps because I was like, we gotta trap this animal. They're not gonna willingly do this. Took about 2 hours, a lot of coaxing, some crying. They ended up shaving her cheek where the cut was. They lanced it. They expressed it. They put some shots in her to help with that, sort of like a delayed release antibiotic. And they said that she was amazing. Incredibly quiet the whole time. They agreed with us. We have always assumed that at some point Howl was domesticated, that she lived with a family at some point. There had to have been a time when she lived with a family. And they absolutely agreed. They were like, this is no feral cat. Feral cats don't behave like this. And so they gave her back to us. We put her back in the carrier. brought her home. She's been inside for 2 days, very upset about that, incredibly angry, because all she wants to do is go outside, and I don't blame her. It's beautiful outside. It's summertime. It's warm. It's sunny. It's not raining. It's not snowing. She's like, what gives, man? Why can't I be outside? Oy. So that's that. What's going on in your life? What is happening? I'm sitting here and I just caught sight of myself in the camera. I actually got called out during my last episode of At the Table by a viewer saying,
"You never wear any of the stuff that you make on here."
which is true. That is true. Like, I can't actually deny that because I never actually wear them in the episode. I will wear them and show like footage of me wearing them. I'll even like hold up the finished object to show it, but I'm never wearing them. Right now, I am currently wearing one of my finished objects. I have never worked on this on the YouTube channel, but I am wearing that. I knit this. This is a sweater vest that I made for Year of the Vest, which is currently in motion. We are doing a make-along for Year of the Vest, and this was the vest that I made to announce it. But I feel the need to clarify and explain why I rarely wear any of the objects that I make, and the reason is this room gets very hot. There's a light here, there, and there, and each of them produces heat. And this room is also a sunroom. Like, you can't, this curtain right here, it goes all the way past the camera. There's an entire wall of windows there and an entire wall of windows there. Everything's just curtained off. And so around this time of day, I'm filming midday, it turns into a fishbowl. It turns into a fishbowl, and let me just tell you, I am at this moment dying.
I think I'm dying here, man.
I am sweating to death underneath this vest. Let me just say, like, for the record, I am currently boiling, but you know what? We suffer for our art. I think that's how that goes, right? We suffer for our art. I'm suffering for y'all. This is my gift to you. This is my Christmas in June gift to you. I am wearing the vest, and I'm wearing the vest because we are doing the Year of the Vest, and we have to talk about that because it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm having such a good time. I'm actually working on my second vest at the moment. Give me just like 1 second. I'm working on my second vest. This is the vest that I was working on in At the Table, which if you've not had the chance to watch, there's a link for it. Last month's episode of At the Table was a really pleasant one. It was really wonderful to sit and work with y'all. But I am working on this little, let's see if I can get the stitches in. Let's pull it forward. Hold on. There we go. That's much better. I'm working on a second vest that has this really beautiful pine cone motif on it. This is a bit of a correction for the vest that I'm wearing. The one that I'm wearing, which I am not going to give information on. I'm not going to give information on what the pattern is. And the reason that I'm going to do that is that I have to be frank, I didn't enjoy making this. And some of that is due to the flaws with inside the pattern itself. And some of it is just due to the technique of it. This is steeked. So the armholes and the neck hole, they're steeked. You just kind of make a full tube and then you go back, reinforce the steek, you cut it open, and then you add the armband and the neckband. The problem with that is I find that wildly, first of all, challenging. I didn't enjoy the process. And second to that, I need the ability to try things on as I make them. And it's because I have sort of an unusual shape for most patterns that are made for masculine presenting bodies. I have pretty wide shoulders. I have a very deep chest. My chest cavity is quite deep, and so I need quite a bit of circumference. And because of that, the armholes oftentimes need additional structure as well. I need to drop yokes. I need to extend armholes. I need to pull necks down. This arm section up here, the shoulder, could absolutely be a 1/2 inch to 1 inch wider. And there's just all of these tiny little adjustments that I usually need to make to sweaters. And I didn't think of that when I set out to make this, as I'm going along, I'm not going to be able to do those adjustments. And I'm also not going to necessarily know what it's going to look like blocked out. I had to knit this 3 times. I kept cutting it back to here where the steeks begin. and removing the top half and having to redo it. And I had to redo all of it from that portion up because there's no other option. Like, it's not as though I can just like, I can't rip it back once it's been steeked, right? And so I think that I would steek another project again. I think that I would do it again, but it would need to be, say, like a cardigan or something of that nature, something where, I don't know, I feel like I could add an extra wide button band if it happens to not be quite wide enough, or something of that nature where I can still pull it over my head. I can still try on the arms and things of that nature. I feel I'm not going to say what pattern it was because I don't want to color anybody else's experience with it, and I don't want my negative experience to be a bad. I hope you understand. I hope you understand why I want to do that. I'm not trying to be cagey. I'm not trying to gatekeep anything. It's just
gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss. True.
I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or anything of that nature. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. But this is my attempt to create a version of that pattern that does work for me. And the plan that I have for this is that instead of steeking, once I get up to the armhole breaks, which I'm almost at, I blocked this to figure out how close I was, instead of just like continuing forward without it. It's a textured pattern, so of course it contracts on top of itself quite a bit, and it needs that relaxation to get the actual true fit. So I blocked it out, I tried it on. I've got about 1.5 inches more before I need to break off the arms. But the plan that I have for that is, instead of taking it up and steeking, I'm just gonna break the back off, put it on some waste yarn, and then just do the front until I get up to the V-neck, do the right side, do the left side, do the back, sew it all together. And the benefit that I see for that is I can test it to see if it fits. Right? Like, then I have the freedom and the ability that, oh, it needs more length, or I wish I had started the neck further down, or the armhole needs more distance. Then I can just rip back only that section. I can just take back that section, say that it's the right side. I can rip back the right side, redo it until it looks exactly like I want. Replicate that on the left, bind those off, and then go to the back and work on that. It just feels like it has more freedom, more flexibility. I feel like you know what the word is? It's neither freedom nor flexibility. It's insurance. That's what it is. It's insurance that I don't have to cut things off. I don't need to completely start over. I can just take back what doesn't work and do it again. So that's what this is. That's this. I'm feeling really great about it. I am so excited to see all of the projects that y'all are doing for Year of the Vest so far. I know that some of you may not have heard about this. It was posted about on my Instagram. Feel free to pop on over. There's a link below for that. But all it is just any craft, any pattern, any make a vest. I love sweater vests. I'm such a massive fan of them. I have to give credit where credit is due. The original idea for this came from my good friend Cece over at Stitch Witchcraft. This is Cece over here. If you do not follow her on Instagram, I can truly say you are missing out. She is not only one of my favorite people, but her work, it feels, we're going to use an SAT word, it feels rhapsodic. Like, there is a romance and a poetry and a passion to everything that she does. And she is running a Year of the Cardigan make-along, which I will also be participating in. I've already got my yarn and my pattern picked out, just haven't started on it yet. But she's running a Year of the Cardigan, and it just kind of dawned on me that I was just like, I love vests. I used to wear vests all the time. I think I had like 12 of them in my wardrobe. This was, 7-8 years ago. But now that I know how to make them, why am I not making them? So I have this one. I have like 3 more planned and the yarn for them. I just haven't gotten those started yet. But I know that not everybody is as versed in the world of vests as others may be. And so I have put together some options that we have here that may give you some inspiration. And so let's take a look at some of these, because I did a little Ravelry diving for you. And let me just show you what I've got. By no means are those the ones that you have to do. I'm not saying that is it, but I just wanted to give you some inspiration with some of my favorite patterns that I've seen online. This one right here, I'm actually planning on redoing with Handspun. This is my test. I'm just doing it I was doing it out of fisherman's wool. Some Lions brand fisherman's wool because it is the WPI. The yarn is the weight that I want this to be made out of. And so I needed something to kind of use as a toile. I needed to use it as a bit of a template, if you will. And so once this is done, and I understand the fit of it, the construction of it, the stitch count, and the math, my plan is to do it out of this really beautiful Corriedale. I was able to get about 5 ounces of this rich, chocolatey Corriedale top. And when I saw the color, when I saw the fiber, I was like, oh, this is exactly what that pattern is calling for. That stitch, that pinecone stitch, desperately needs to be made out of this Corriedale. And so I bought every single gram, not even ounce, every gram of this beautiful chocolate Corriedale that they had. And I bought this from Hearthside Fibers, which they will be linked below. They are a wonderful resource for breed-specific fibers. Most of them are top, some of them are carded, most of them are top, but a lot of undyed fibers, a lot of dyed fibers, just a really great resource for breed-specific top. And so if you're looking for somewhere where you can kind of get your hand on some really well-priced breed specifics, I'd hop on over. Again, link below. They've been wonderful to me. A ton of the breeds that I am using for my spin class series came from them, and I'm very grateful for that. And so that's what this is going to become. I am challenging myself to spin an entire vest's quantity of Handspun, which to me felt like a bit of a graduation. Right? Like spinning for a vest seemed a little bit less daunting than spinning for an entire sweater. Like I don't have to deal with the arms. I can just deal with the body itself. I have no idea if I don't know where that idea came from. I mean, most of the yarn goes into the body. I feel like it was 70% of the yarn probably goes into the torso and then the rest of the 30 goes into the arm. But in my mind, it made sense to do a spin for a vest instead. And so that is my plan. I'm very excited about it. That will be sort of the progression of Year of the Vest. I hope you're going to come along. I really do. If you have a vest already on the needles, whips are welcome. We're going to do that one more time. Whips are welcome. You certainly don't have to cast on a new project if you don't want to. You're welcome to just grab one from your whip basket. Or if you just, by happenstance, happen to be working on one, great. But while we're talking about handspun, I have a secret to tell you. I am hooked on hand spinning. I get it now. I absolutely understand why so many of you are obsessed with this craft. It is unlike anything else that I have experienced before. And I talked about this on my Patreon last week. Sometimes to me, and I don't know if for those of you who spin and knit, sometimes knitting feels a little bit more taxing. Sometimes it feels like manufacturing. It feels like it demands something more from me than hand spinning does. And I don't know if it's just like a cognitive thing. I don't know if it's the fact of like having to pay attention to patterns. I'm not sure. I don't know what exactly about knitting that sometimes it just feels like it demands more from me than hand spinning does. Because when I sit down at my treadle and I feel like this full body movement, it's this full kinesthetic experience. It's so meditative and it's so relaxing. And that, I just said it, treadle, I am now realizing also, we have not had an episode since I got my treadle wheel. And I have been sitting on this secret. I have not brought my wheel to the table yet. And which is like, yes, I got a treadle wheel. And for those of you who are regular watchers, you know a couple of months ago I introduced my Starling. A couple of months ago I got a Starling from Daedalus, which for those of you who are unfamiliar, Daedalus Spinning Wheels makes these beautiful electric spinners, which are phenomenal devices. Like it is truly just a top of the line e-spinner. I am thrilled to have it as a part of my canon of tools that exists in my crafting world, and I am extremely proud of it. But I always knew that I wanted both an e-spinner and I wanted a treadle wheel. I saw them as sort of like companions to one another, not a situation where one was better than the other, where one existed with more importance, but they existed as a team to achieve similar goals. And so back in October, yeah, we're going that far back. Back in October, I started the hunt for a wheel. I knew that it was something I wanted to invest in, but I love to take my time in picking the pieces that I bring into my home. And so there were so many options. Like, I don't know, for those of you who have ever shopped for a wheel, you know what I'm talking about. There are so many makers. There's Ashford, there's Modulcraft, there's Shacked, there's so many, Kromsky, there's so many different brands that you can look through, and then each of them has their own substrata of several different styles. And there were so many choices. Treadle, should I have single treadle or should I have double? What about drives, single or double? And then not to mention style, do I get Saxony, Castle, Norwegian? There was so much happening. And I'm curious if you're like me. I don't like to buy things with the intention and expectation that I will outgrow them and they will have to be replaced. I really don't like that. You blame it on my country upbringing, blame it on just the general frugality of the world that I grew up in, but I hate the idea that I'm spending not an insignificant amount of money to buy a wheel with the expectation that in some time in the near future, it's just going to have to be replaced. And so I had a lot of conversations. Two people in particular deserve a great deal of the credit in helping me choose my wheel. The first person is Evie over at Jillian Eve. Hi, Evie. I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you're watching, but hello. Evie had a huge role in helping me pick out my wheel. We talked for, oh goodness, it had to have been like close to 90 minutes about all of the different types of wheels there are, their pluses, their minuses, the price ranges for them. We talked about what it was that I was looking to accomplish in my spinning, the style that most engaged me. And first of all, I can't say thank you enough to Evie, not only for their expertise and their knowledge, but also just their willingness to share that and not gatekeep it and be truly like a wonderful community member to me, because I don't think that I would have been able to make this choice without them. But after that conversation with Evie, I then took that information and went to one of my biggest spinning influencers, one of my biggest spinning sort of coaches, and that's Alexina over at Lam Lan. Alexina is the reason I got into hand spinning to begin with. They built and designed, they didn't build, they made my first spindles, my drop spindles and my supported spindles. And they have been an invaluable resource for me as I learn how to do this. And so I took all of this information, I went over to them and I was like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. This is where my brain is at. What do you think? How do you feel about this? And what we ended up settling on was the Modulcraft Rose. And that is what I ended up getting, which it's not just a matter of its functionality, which its functionality is incredibly high. It has an absurd number of features that make it what I wanted it to be, which is an heirloom piece. A piece that would be with me for decades to come, ideally, will outlive me, frankly, and one that I would be able to grow with. Something that was simple enough to start on, but complex enough and advanced enough that as my skills developed and as I understood what I was doing and the types of yarn that I was creating became more complex, it had the ability to adapt to that. And so I ended up getting the Modulcraft Rose. It took quite a while to get to me because I decided that I wanted it to be custom built because that's who I am. Listen, I love the style of this particular wheel. It's so beautiful. It has almost this sort of mid-century modern feeling to it with very classic lines and elements, but at the same time, this sort of modern construction. It's just breathtaking. However, for me, usually this wheel comes with a rose motif, a decal that is laser engraved onto the arm of the wheel itself. I just didn't want that. It didn't really fit for me. Like it's not really my style to have that. And so luckily, because I went through Alexina, who is a Modulcraft dealer, I was able to get a custom one made without that decal. I love my Modulcraft. I really do. I am sweating so hard under here. I just realized how much I am sweating underneath this. But we might have to have a costume change midway through. We might not have an option. I'm gonna keep going for as long as I can, but we might have to switch to something cooler. But I love my Magicraft. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. It is easy to use. It's easy to set up. It feels as much like a beginner wheel as it does a legacy piece that's gonna last for decades to come, and it's gonna allow me to grow with it. I feel so satisfied with the choices that I made, and I am so happy to have done that. If you're interested in learning more about Magicraft, not only will the link to their website be listed below, but if you'd like to talk to anyone who might be able to give you some guidance in choosing which Magicraft wheel is best for you, I'm going to link Alexina below as well, because they have an extraordinary knowledge of these wheels. And I truly, again, I don't think that it would not have been as easy of a process of picking out which wheel I wanted and which was right for me without their involvement. And so if you're looking to talk to a Magicraft dealer, by all means, please reach out to Alexina. I'm not going to get anything for it. This is not a plug. This is not a sponsorship. It's just, this was the greatest resource that I had, and I want to pass that along to you. So again, Alexina over at Lamlan. And with that said, I mean, while we're talking about hand spinning, it's worth noting that Tour de Fleece is coming up real soon. Let's see, this will be live on the 15th. Tour de Fleece runs the 29th through the 21st of July. So is 2 weeks-ish, like 2 weeks after this gets published, then Tour de Fleece starts. How many of you are coming along? If you're unaware, Tazhi over at Stitches and Starlight and I are running a Flannel and Starlight team for Tour de Fleece. It's called Summer at Camp Wooligan, which has all of these wonderful, nostalgic, mid-century summer camp vibes. Tazhi and I are your camp counselors. We have merch. We've got shirts and hats, which if you've not had the chance to get that and you still want to, link is below. We're going to let that run throughout the course of Tour de Fleece. So anybody who wants to get that and just hasn't had the chance, that's okay. Just anytime you want to, there's the link for that. We are so excited for this. Like, we're having such a good time. It's been running about a month now. We have a Substack running where people can access resources and chat with us. If you'd like to sign up for that, again, link for that is below. And I'd like to say anyone of any skill level is welcome to Camp Wooligan. Like, you don't need to be an experienced spinner. I certainly am low experience. But even if this is your first time, grab a spindle, grab some fiber, and just have some fun. That's the entire purpose of this. For those of you who aren't familiar with what Tour de Fleece is, so Tour de France, a bicycle race, happens in France every year, as I understand it. I'm not big in cycling. Please do not take this with a grain of salt. But Tour de France happens, and this year it's happening from June 29th through July 21st. And for many years now, spinners around the world get together in teams. Sometimes they do it on their own. They can do it in person. They can do it virtually. They join in teams, and every day that the cyclists are racing, you spin. And so it's kind of like it's like your feet are pedaling in the same way that they're pedaling their bike. It's cute, right? Like, that's cute. I've never done one, but I was so interested in doing one. It's because of, honestly, the viewers on my YouTube channel, my Patreon supporters, people were like, you should just do a team. Just do a team. Just do one. Like, if you want to do it, just do it. And luckily, Tazhi over at Stitches and Starlight was more than willing to be my co-captain on this, which, like, thank God, because they know way more about this than I do. But we have set up this whole event. If you'd like to sign up, again, the Substack is listed below. We've had such a good time. We actually just released the colorway for it, which, like, I don't have, hold on. I'm just now realizing that I don't have that. So, like, give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay. All right. So oh no, here we go. Oh no. Oh no. My Velcro beard, my stubble grabbed a hold of this. Can I tell you, it feels like every single day I just have fiber stuck to me. It's either stuck to the stubble of my head or the stubble of my face, or it's woven into the fibers or the hairs of my mustache. I'm just constantly pulling strings off of my face. There's another one. I'm constantly pulling strings off of my face. Sometimes when I'm filming my my Patreon videos, my Fiber Troll Friday, sometimes I go back and I watch and there's just this like floating string attached to the top of my head. It's terribly embarrassing. Oh, we're just going to pretend. We're just going to smooth that out and we're going to pretend like that little snag didn't happen. Anyway, I don't know why I didn't bring these in the first place because I knew I'd want to talk about it. This is our custom team colorway that was created by Adrian over at Hello Yarn, which, if you are unfamiliar with Adrian's work, linked below, Instagram account, shop, amazing. I have so many of her fibers in my stash and every single one of them is better than the last. Her bases are beautiful. Her understanding of how color spins is so on point. Like I'm amazed. She was the first person that we went to when we decided that we wanted to do a custom colorway and we created what that fade should look like. She was the first person we went to and I have no words for how grateful I am that she said yes, because her work on this is breathtaking. This one, let me see, that one's Tazhi, this is BFL, this one is Corey Dale. Let me pull this up. This is Dreaming by Firelight. And this is our Tour de Fleece 2024 Flannel and Starlight custom team colorway. Now, unfortunately, this colorway is no longer available. It has completely sold out, which, like, first and foremost, thank you so much for the support. I know that I speak for Tazhi when I say it blew both of us away. We had a limited pre-order for this first run. There were like 50 braids, I think, of each one, and we didn't expect it to go so quick. It sold out in 40 minutes. I'm still gobsmacked. I really am. I'm touched. I know that it's beautiful and like that's why people wanted to buy it, but like at the same time, like I appreciate your support and your enthusiasm and excitement for our team and for this colorway. The good news is if you didn't happen to catch the first pre-order, don't be stressed out about that because we're going to have a second one. And the likelihood of there being a higher stock available in the second one is very likely. So there will be a release on that. There's going to be information. Check the link below for that. Again, that's in the Substack. If you're looking for when that's going to happen, it's in the Substack. But I am so thrilled that now I get to actually talk about this. I have shown it off. And now I feel like I can actually spin it. And sitting on this and not doing anything about it, just like not being able to spin it, not being able to talk about it has been driving me absolutely insane. Absolutely up the wall. And so now I get to take my little bounty here and go do something fun with it. So hold on just a second. I'm gonna put this back there. So hold on. Oh, come on. Okay. I also took a break for just a second. I drank some water. I'm feeling a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more cooled down now. You know, sometimes I like catch myself in this screen. There's a screen right above my camera. And sometimes I catch myself and I can watch as my face slowly gets redder and redder and redder throughout the episode. I'm absolutely amazed that that is not happening this time yet. I am absolutely tickled. I can't wait to get that on my bobbins. I can't wait. Isn't it beautiful? That is my plan for all of Tour de Fleece is I have 6 different fibers that I have ordered from Adrian. They've all arrived. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the night shift shawl, which if you're not familiar, this is what the night shift looks like. It's a shawl designed by Andrea Mowry. I feel like it's very, very popular. And most people have at least seen it if they've not made some variation of it. There's definitely a cowl. I think that there's a vest and a sweater as well. I can't really remember, but there's definitely a cowl and a shawl. And Tazhi and I are spinning individually. We both have our own sets of fiber that we're going to be using to spin and make this particular pattern. I'm very excited about that. I've never spun for that's a big project. It's like 6 different colors. It's lots of stuff. All the stuff that I'll be using actually comes from Adrian over at Hello Yarn. First up, we have Wine Soaked, which is on Adrian's Cormo base. Love that plummy purple. Followed by Aster on 70s Merino, and then Hiding Place, look at that teal on 23 Micron Merino. Following this, we've got Hazel and Hayfield. Both of these are on Corriedale. And then finally, this was probably my favorite, Several Babadukes, which is probably the best name of the lot. Didn't love the movie. Love the name. The goal that I had here was creating a very soft autumnal palette, and I think this is going to knock it out of the park. I really do. But as soon as Tour de Fleece starts, I know that that is what I'm going to be working on. And I feel like I should be doing some sampling. I feel like I should be doing some sampling because each of the fibers is different. Like there's superfine merino, there's standard merino, there's Cormo, there's Corriedale. Each of them has a different micron, a different staple. And I want the WPI to be as consistent as possible, right? Like across each of the 6 of them so that the fabric remains as consistent as it can be. I feel like I should be doing some sampling. Is that allowed? Can I do sampling before Tour de Fleece starts? Can I do the sample and then when Tour de Fleece starts, I do the actual spinning? I don't know. I've never done this before. Are there rules? Is there a rule against that? I'm one of the team captains. I can set the rules, right? I'm going to do some sampling. Make that happen. I'm allowed to do that. But you know what? If you're on the team and you want to do some sampling, I'm going to say that yes, you also can do that. That's allowed. That's allowed. I'm saying now. But what's fascinating about this and what's exciting and daunting is that this will be the first time that I have spun so many fibers for an immediately cast on project. Like up to this point, all of the spinning that I've been doing is for the sake of education. Like the project and the product is learning how to do something, maintaining consistency, making a 2-ply, making a fractal, learning color management, doing chain plying, 3-plying, 4-plying off of multiple bobbins. Like it's all been, I've been less focused on knitting up the fiber and knitting up the yarn as I have been on learning to make the yarn. That's been the project. And so now what I've got, with the exception of like one thing, which is a finished object, I made a pair of socks, but with the exception of that, I just have all of these skeins of yarn lying around, which, like, don't get me wrong, love it, very exciting. But I was wondering if you might indulge me and let me show you some of my hand spun, because I'm actually I'm very proud of it. So bear with me. I want to take you on a little parade, a little hand-spun parade. It's an expression I stole from Tazhi. Thank you, Tazhi. But it's so cute. How could I not call it that? Hold on. Oh, we're bringing out the basket. Y'all remember the basket? It's been a while. I think it's been since Christmas, since the last time we saw the basket. I love this thing. I found this in a clearance bin for $6.50 at a Home Goods, and it has become one of my absolute most treasured items in the craft room. It's the perfect size and shape. It's soft. It's very deep. It can hold so much. Best $6.50 I have spent in a minute. God bless Home Goods. You know? But I want to show you, let's start with those socks. I said that I made some socks, and I want to show you my little hand spun socks. Look at those. I made those. Not only did I make them, not only did I knit these, but I spun the fiber for them. I spun the yarn. Look at that. Look at those cute little socks. Here, let's do this. There we go. Gotta show the toe. Look at those. Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. And like the experience, for those of you who spin, does the magic of knowing this would not have existed without me. Even insofar as not just like I knit them, but like literally the yarn for it wouldn't be the yarn if I hadn't have spun that. That's magic. That feels like magic to me. And I look at these and I am gobsmacked that before these existed, it was just a ball of fluff. And my hands turned it into yarn, and then those same hands turned them into socks. And I don't know if I'll ever get over that. This particular colorway is Higgledy Piggledy. It was the 2021, one of the 2021 Hello Yarn colorways for the Fiber Club. But this was a gift from Tazhi. I think they had several braids and they were like, here you go, have fun with that. And this is the Targhee Bamboo Silk. This is the very same base that I showed you with the Dreaming by Firelight. Great for socks. The bamboo viscose and the silk adds just enough strength in the same way that nylon does, so that it's got a nice, strong, and durable fiber. And Tazhi knows how much I love making socks, and so they sent this over to me to have some fun with. But this is the first and only, this is the only finished object that I have made with any of my hand spun so far. I kind of want to slide those on right now, but I'm not gonna. Let me show you what else we've got in here. This is this little yarn baby. As I understand, that's what they're called when they're this large. no longer a skein, it's a yarn baby. But this little 8-ounce beauty is Malabrigo. It's their base Nube, which is a really great base for anyone who is interested in not only spinning non-superwash merino, but also maybe on a budget. At least when I purchased these, it was only $16 a braid, which is an incredible deal. I sourced these at Woolen Company. The links to that will be below. This is a 2-ply of 2 different colorways that they have. The first one being Glitter, which is probably my favorite of the Malabrigo colorways, and I decided to combo spin that with Mostaza. I figured that all of the greens and grays and browns would blend beautifully, and I love how this turned out. I would absolutely do this again. I want to spin a second skein of this. The one thing that I will say is that if you are interested in using the Nube, have a steamer. You're gonna need it. You are going to have to steam those braids all the way into the ground and back in order to open them up. There's no way of knowing how long they've sat in those braids by the time you use them, and they are very, very compacted. This next one is a bit of an oddity in my spinning journey because it is the only superwash fiber that I have spun so far. It's a superwash BFL blended with nylon. It was a gift from one of my subscribers, Hey to Quilt and Knit Girl. Thank you so much for this. Way back when I was first learning how to spin, she sent me a box, sort of like a care package of Welcome to Spinning, that had a whole bunch of different fibers in it, from breed specific to blends, dyed, undyed, and this is one of those braids. It's from the dyer Fiber Optic, who is not a dyer that I'm particularly familiar with, though I do love this colorway, which is named Fireworks. It's one of those sort of like randomized colorways, not a repeating pattern or anything of that nature. And so I thought in order to break up the colorway a little bit and avoid any type of accidental striping, I would treat it like a fractal. And so across the braid, I split it into 3 because I knew I wanted it to be a 3-ply. And then vertically, I split each of those sections into 2 parts, 3 parts, and 4 parts. Spun it up as normal across 3 bobbins and plied it together to get a really consistent, beautiful sock yarn. At least that's what I think I'm going to do with this. I think it's going to become a beautiful pair of socks. Next up is the last of the 4 braids that I bought from Little Fern Fibers, and honestly, I'm feeling a little bit heartsick because of that. I loved spinning up every single one of the 4 that I have from her, and if you are unfamiliar, I really do encourage you to give her a follow. She dyes on Falkland, which frankly might be one of my favorite bases. I mean, I know that it's sort of like, it's difficult to say that because every Falkland is going to be different depending on the proportions of the fiber that is in it. But this particular colorway, Sun Goddess, I did the exact same thing that I did to the previous braid, split it into 3, then 2, 3, and 4, spun it up as a 3-ply. An amazing weekend project. I got this done in like 24 hours. It was so quick, so lovely. I really do enjoy. This is like I said, the 4th of the 4 Falkland braids that I bought from Little Fern, and I wish that I had more. I'm gonna get more. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. I just thought that it was such a gorgeous colorway, and it gave this sort of like tequila sunrise appearance. You know what it would be gorgeous as? Wouldn't this be beautiful as the color work contrast to a blue cowl? Like a sapphire blue cowl with this as like maybe leaves or something like that. Oh, I mean, look at that. Yeah, I think that that's what I'm going to have to do. This is going to become a cowl. This is going to be color work for sure. All right, we are apparently on some sort of like semi-fractal barber pole color yarn train, but I promise this is the last one. This is the 4th and last one. But this one, I don't know if you remember or not. This one is the one that I posted on my Instagram story like a couple of months ago. I posted 2 different braids that I had from Fossil Fibers, and I said, all right, between these 2, which one should I spin up next? And this is the one that won. This is the one y'all wanted. This is Demon King. This is an 8515 BFL and silk, and I decided to, this was my first attempt at a true fractal, and let me just say, I I think that I may have been a little bit out of my water. I was a little bit out of my scope with this one. I definitely have improved a whole bunch since I spun this one up, but let me tell you, I learned so much. I really did in terms of color management, in terms of splitting the braid in more effective fashion. This was such a great learning experience, not only for the first time ever spinning BFL, but also silk. Oi, what a challenge. What a struggle. I got through it. I'm tickled and delighted with this. I think it's going to become a muscle bro hat. That's sort of like where my brain is at the moment. I'm not entirely certain, but it feels like that's like the perfect project for something like this. This is a special skein of yarn. This skein came from a bat that was hand carded for me by Tazhi over at Stitches and Starlight. It was a gift to me as I got my wheel. When I received Arthur, this was a sort of like welcome to the family gift that Tazhi sent me. And I resisted spinning it up for as long as I physically could because it was such an oddity. It was such a novel, unique experience for me to spin from a single fleece. And what I mean by that is all of the wool you see came from the same cut, same animal. And I'm a very sentimental person, and so I wanted to hold on to it for as long as possible. But I relented, I gave in, and this is a skein that came from Snuggles from Nystock Farms. Snuggles is a CVM Corriedale Rambouillet Cotswold cross, which try to say that 4 times fast, and it was an absolute dream, a dream to spin. Looking at it here, and sometimes I feel as though I may have overspun the ply just a little bit, and that's okay. The nice thing about this, if you're new to spinning like I am, come to find out if you overspin the ply, send it back through a lot slower and take a bit of the twist out. Just take some of it out to let it relax. I'm going to have to choose a very special project for this particular yarn because I adore it so much. It has luster, it has shine, it's so incredibly soft. Thank you again to Tazhi. I don't have words. I don't have words. Last but certainly not least is this behemoth. This is North Ronaldsay or Orkney, depending on which you prefer to call it. It is a breed that is specific to the Orkney Islands, and the uniqueness of it is that it's sort of like this semi-feral or completely feral breed of sheep that lives off of kelp and seaweed. If you follow Melissa over at Melly Knits, I think that her description is perfect. When I posted about this in my story, she said that it behaves like, quote, gangster Icelandic. And I absolutely have to agree. As someone who has knit with Let Lopi, this is very similar to that. I do wish that I had the skill at this time to be able to spin it the way that she suggested, which is very similar to a Let Lopi, which is just a single ready to be knit. I'm not at a place yet that I can do that, but maybe someday. What I can say is that this particular fiber was one of the most challenging I have spun to date. I got this from Hearthside Fibers, which is an amazing resource for breed-specific undyed fiber, and this is one of the few preps that they had that is not top. Most of what they have is comb top. This one came as a pin drafted roving, and it was so textured. We are talking neppy for the gods. Like, it felt like every single draft had like 2 to 3 neps in it, which at first I thought was really going to turn me off. I thought it was going to kind of put me off the experience, but by the end of it, I felt like I was vibing. I really felt like I had an understanding of the fiber, and we were working together in tandem. I have no earthly idea what I am going to do with this. It's just a chain ply. That's all I ended up doing with it. It's strong. I feel like I could have put some more twist in it, but like, I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Throw me some ideas. I'm open. I'm open to suggestions on this one. But this one was a unique one, and it was a real challenge. I'm tickled that I was lucky enough to catch this online. Again, this one came from Hearthside Fibers. They're linked below. Really great resource, again, for those interesting breed-specific preps. But thank you so much. I mean, thank you for indulging me. Thank you for indulging me and letting me show you the little projects that I've been working on. And now you'll be able to watch as they become actual actual things. Like I know for sure I'm going to make a pair of socks out of that blue skein. I feel as though the sort of like sherbety one, the one from Little Fern Fibers, would make a beautiful contrast color in a colorwork cowl. I feel like that's very good for winter, or not winter, but fall. Thank you so much for letting me show you that. I feel like a giddy kid who has like a new toy and just can't wait to show everybody, because I have to be honest, this has been a lot of hard work, and I work quite diligently to teach myself new skills and to learn more about the tools that I'm using, the fiber that I am working with, and to build the best yarn possible. And it's been a lot of work, and I'm just very proud of how it's going. And thank you for being a part of this journey with me, and for supporting and cheering me on as I go. I really appreciate it. What are you working on? For those of you who watch the channel regularly, you know the drill. I'm sure you've probably already left your comment below telling me what your current project is. If you haven't, please do so. I love hearing about it. It's like my favorite thing. What I am going to do is I'm going to go get out of this vest, because the gentle reprieve that I got from that glass of ice water has officially worn off, and I can feel my body shriveling under the weight of all of this wool. And I think that I might die. So I am going to go change into something cooler, and I'm going to release you back to your day. Go out there and have fun. Do something that brings you joy, something that is uncomplicated, something that doesn't tax your mind, because we know that there are plenty of things that demand our energy every second of the day. So be kind to yourself. Remember that we need you. There's only one of you. And you matter. As always, my name is Christopher. I am Flannel and Pearls, your local neighborhood knitting friend, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for spending time at the table with me today. If you would, please give this video a little like and hit the subscribe button on my channel. I know it seems silly, but those two little actions go a long way to help new creators like myself find and grow their audience. If you'd like to share your viewing experience on your own social media platforms, please tag me. I absolutely love seeing the stories of y'all watching and crafting along. It really makes my day. So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Substack, and Patreon at Flannel and Pearls. And an absolutely massive thank you to my Patreon subscribers this month. Your support means the world to me, and I don't take that for granted. To watch ad-free versions of my videos, access behind-the-scenes footage, exclusive vlogs, playlists, and more, check out the link for my Patreon in the caption below. As always, take care of yourself, my friends. I'll see you next time.